Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Lamenters. We are returning to the scene of the crimes. You guys are in the inn. Oldrad has agreed to stay behind and watch the two prisoners. Claude, you and Critter are going to stay with him. Okay. So with that said, the rest of you have 5 minutes to get a few blocks away across town to meet up with the Council of Anger. So you guys head out. Who takes the missive from Lord Trevor, the one that Lord Trevor gave you guys? Who's bringing it? Okay, so Liber, you have the missive. So you guys begin to head out, and it is midnight, so the streets are very quiet. You don't really see anybody walking around. At a certain point, you get to the inn. The lights in the main part of the tavern are out. However, you see an older gentleman who the rest of you guys, except Sarah, who wasn't there, the rest of you guys recognize this as the innkeeper. And he is standing outside of the front door holding a lantern. And when he sees you approach, and he says, good, welcome. I was beginning to wonder if you were going to be here. Mayor Durst told me that you would be coming. Please come in. Go upstairs. They're on the top floor.
Let's follow him.
Okay. You guys go in, and as soon as you're all in the foyer, he closes the door and locks it. And then he goes upstairs, escorts you guys up to the third floor, and the door is closed. He knocks on the door 3 times and then pauses and then knocks 2 more times. You hear a sliding sound from within, and then the door opens, and you see Captain Elwig, who you were introduced to briefly by Claude. He opens the door, and beyond him, sitting at the round table, you see Cordero, the courier. You see Mayor Durst. You see Heinrich James, the horse breeder. You see Melania, the apothecary. Piotr, the purveyor of pipes and tobacco. And then you see Ron, the tailor.
Ron, good to see you, my friend.
He nods. He's like, yes, quite. The hour is late, and we've been eager to hear word from you. Please, come in. And he kind of nods to Elwig after you guys come in. Elwig closes the door. Melania is, as you guys are kind of coming to the table, she's got a kettle of tea. She's pouring tea into these small cups, and you see the rest of the people at the table start to drink the tea, and you see Piotr smoking a pipe, and he looks up at you and he says, is Oldrad not coming?
He suddenly got injured and needs to rest. Also, we were kind of attacked this evening. Hope that all threats are taken care of right now.
After locking the door, Captain Elwig walks across the hardwood floors, his military boots kind of clicking on the floors. And he looks at the rest of you and he says, and what of my old friend, Claude? Is he well?
He's healing. He needs some rest, but he is well.
He seems
I'm not doing too well.
At this point, Mayor Durst looks out at you guys and says, well, not to press the point too finely, but is there word from Lee County? Were you able to communicate with Lord Trevor and gain some agreement?
We were. I'm going to hand him the missive so he can read through it first.
Okay. You hand him the missive. You notice that he inspects it. He looks at the seal and nods, opens it up and kind of lays it out on the table. And as he's reading it, you see Melania and Piotr kind of peering over his shoulder. He takes a few moments to read it, and then he kind of passes it around to the others on the council to read. And after about 2 minutes of relative silence, it gets at last to Cordero, who reads it. And then Cordero kind of looks back to Mayor Durst and nods. Actually, all of you make wisdom roll unders.
Natural one.
18, so way over.
6 under.
3 under.
All right, those of you who succeeded, you get the impression that it didn't take that long to read the missive because it wasn't particularly lengthy, but it almost seemed like they were studying it. And the last person, Cordero, the courier, he studied it the longest. And you notice that there was like a body language, like when he kind of, after he studied it and he nodded to Durst, there seemed to be like a calming of Durst's body language.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Ask.
Do we believe that they were inspecting it to see if it was a legitimate missive? Like if it was really from...
Yeah, you get the impression that perhaps that might have been what this was about. After Cordero kind of nods in approval, Mayor Durst looks at all of you and he says, well, this is certainly quite a sacrifice on behalf of your party to avail yourself for these services for Lee County. And we are deeply grateful. I do not know what we could provide you other than perhaps if you need horses or basic food and supplies for this trek that you will have to make. But we are certainly grateful that this offer from Lord Trevor has been delivered, and that we will be able to retain the services on loan, of course, of the militia. I assume, based on this missive, that you have been delayed for some time, and I'm not sure what the matters are related to that. But we are at your services for our part, for whatever we can do to assist you in returning to Lee County and performing the services that you offered to Lord Trevor.
I want to give him a call. Go ahead.
Sir, I haven't met you guys yet. I heard about you. I am Sarah Florian Marjit, and I would need some healing. We had a scuffle in the street.
You see when you introduce yourself that most of the people at the table like nod politely. You notice Melania kind of perk up and she says, I could assist you. She stands up and she says, after the meeting, if you would come back to my cottage, I could provide you with some tonics that will ease your pain and hopefully speed up your healing.
Yeah, and there are others that are injured from stuff.
Also,
I think you guys should actually...
We left Lee Castle in quite a hurry in pursuit of beef at the time, or at least we think so, and we need to investigate further into this, but we cannot keep them in our custody during investigation of the outpost. Would it be possible to leave prisoners in your custody?
Mayor Durst says, you say a thief. Well,
They stole personal belongings
Name the woman. Name the woman and be done with it.
You notice the council kind of looks around at Bane's proclamation.
It's a high-profile one.
I'm sorry, Lady Marjit. What was that name again?
Carmina Nicolo. And I look very pained and angry.
You see, like, the council, like, look at each other. All of them. You say that Carmina Nicolo was the thief who took something from Lee Castle?
Yes.
And
As it was relayed to us.
I want to give them a quick rundown of everything that's happened since we left Lee Castle. We chased the boat, we captured her, we all the way down to getting to holding them prisoner, the mystery man in the next room, and our fight to the end.
And don't
Okay.
forget, don't forget
In
the
that
men
summary,
have come.
do you include the candlestick?
Yes.
Upon this, this takes several minutes to explain, and upon, kind of concluding this summary, you see the council seems obviously concerned. Like there are expressions of concern, and they begin to kind of talk amongst each other, and they say, well, this could be a pretense for the Empire. The House Nicolo is very well regarded within the Empire, and there's like agreement and concurrent on that. You get the sense from the other side of the table, from like Cordero's side and Piotr and Ron's side, that perhaps that this was intentional as a provocation, that perhaps House Nicolo did this to create a reason for the Empire to come to Aegir. And they kind of begin discussing the pros and cons of keeping a noble whose family is well tied to the Empire as a prisoner. And as they're discussing this kind of discussion goes back and forth for about 10 minutes. Mayor Durst says, in order to expedite your ability to return to Lee Castle and serve Lord Trevor's interests, we could detain the Lady Nicolo. However, if the Empire comes here, we would be vastly outnumbered, even with the militia that is on loan from Lee Castle. In other words, if the Empire wants to come retrieve her, there's nothing we would be able to do to stop them. Did you also describe what happened earlier this night with the people who were trying to get to her?
Yes.
Okay. At that point, Ron, the tailor, speaks up and he says, they were not wearing any emblems of the Empire. They were not in any garb or had the symbol of the Empire. And he looks at Mayor Durst and he says, well then, whoever they were not acting on behalf of the Empire. They must have been here to try to rescue her without the Empire knowing, which could mean that perhaps they don't know. Perhaps the Empire doesn't know about Carmina being here. Perhaps her own noble house doesn't even know that she's here. What's the significance of that? And he looks around the table at you guys and the rest of the council.
Do we tell him that the other Nicolo, Vincenzo, was actually in the room next to ours? And what about that letter that those kidnappers, assassins left us? Do we have that? Someone's got to be able to read it.
Do you produce that?
I don't know who has it. I've been asking.
Liber, you have the confiscated letter.
I'll hand that over to them.
Okay.
Probably as they read it, I try to remember all the stuff that we got from the Lady Karamina, and I tell mostly to the room. From what we got from her, she might be working actually on the behest of some other power that's just using the Empire as the means, their goals. I'm sorry, but I'm not too smart to get the bigger picture from this, but it may be that this is the power play of some third party.
You distinctly, in making that statement, Bivoj, you distinctly notice that several of the people in the council kind of nod and almost begin to ponder this. Cordero looks at the second letter and he says, I do not understand the script, but I think that this is written in the ancient language of Nargan. And he points to a few of the lettering patterns, and he says, I do not read it, but I recognize it.
Do you happen to know what Norgenheim is, or?
Yes, of course. It is an ancient kingdom that fell long ago, centuries ago.
And where was it? Was it to the north from here?
Yes.
Are there any ruins or distinct landmarks that we can search for?
After our business.
Or can you draw it on the map we have?
Cordero smiles. He says, my friend, no one has been to the lands of Nargenheim in centuries. It was ruined. Very little is known about why or what happened, but it was some kind of cataclysmic event.
I still believe it's our destination in the end, so we have to find at least some more clues to search for that place.
Hey, Leonard, do you recognize any of these letters, symbols on this? I know you were studying writing from an ancient language.
Let's have a look.
Okay, so Leonard, roll a d6.
Probably not.
So, in the same way that Cordero could recognize that this writing is something of an ancient dead language, you also kind of recognize some of the symbols from the discs that you guys have collected, but you are not able to decipher what it means.
Sorry, for me it looks like some cultish writing, but other than that, I can't tell you much more.
Yeah.
Now, I don't claim to be a wise man, but I do have some things that are not sitting well with me. If the Empire did not send the woman, first of all, who did? And who knows that she's here? Is there someone on the inside that let them know she's here? How did they track us in the first place?
I think our neighbor Nicolo had something to do with that one.
Yeah, seems to be. But
Perhaps it's internal with the with the family.
I
There's definitely something
understand.
going on.
Yeah, I understand that Vincenzo Niccolo himself was in the room next to ours at the other end.
When you say that, you see like Captain Elwig pause, and he's like, "Wait, what?"
Yes, he knocked me out with ease.
Show him the ring.
He looks at the mayor and he says that's not possible, Mayor. That's not possible. That man was killed 16 years ago. Lord Trenton Lee dispatched a group of loyal followers of Lee County to investigate a cult years ago. I know that name, and that man was killed.
might be an offspring then, with the same name.
He says, "Well, I mean, perhaps there is someone with that namesake. Perhaps," he says,
Well,
but if you're saying it's the same man, he's like, I personally never knew him or encountered him, but I heard the stories after that cult was defeated.
Does anyone know what he looks like? I had got a good look at him.
He was pretty slippery, what I remember.
You see Mayor Durst say, when did you say that was? And Elwig says, I believe it was perhaps 16 years ago. It was before the storms. He says, do you remember when Oak Point was overrun by that plague? And you see Mayor Durst nod, and Ron the Tailor, some of the old guys like nod. They're like, oh, yes, that was a terrible sickness that befell Oak Point, and many people died from that plague, that outbreak. And Captain Elwig says, my friends, from what I heard, Lord Trenton described, it was no such plague or outbreak. It was very much the evil doings of a cult. It was a curse placed upon those people that brought the dead back to life in service of this cult.
Maybe, just maybe, the man we met today is the very same man you claim should be dead for 16 years. He was highly skilled, and he may have faked his death.
Or he could be in league with them.
The council
Probably both.
The council seems very ill at ease as they look at each other and talk. As more time passes, Mayor Durst says, we need to make a decision, and we need to take action promptly. Time is of the essence, and we are running out of time on many fronts. If it is your will to have us detain the Lady Niccolo and whoever assists her, we will see to it that she is detained for as long as we can. You say that there were 3 who disembarked to try to retrieve her, and that you defeated 2 of the 3. Do you know where the 3rd one is?
He tried to come to visit us, but he wanted to offer a ransom for the lady, but we didn't answer, and he left. He's looking for her, though, for sure.
Durst nods, and he says, well, then Captain Elwig, you should have a contingent of your men retrieve the prisoners and bring them to the jail. Keep guards upon them at all times. And Elwig nods, and he starts to head to the door. Durst then says, "What can we do to get you back to Lee Castle as expeditiously as possible?"
Well, we need to go past at first and check the fort. So it will be first, so you don't lose your support from the Lee Castle. So that probably we still have horses from Lee Castle, I think. So
Yeah, but it should be better if we get some fresh ones.
Cordero at this point speaks up and he says, "I will provide them with 6 of the best," or no, not Cordero, sorry. I keep mixing him up because he's the courier. Heinrich James says, I will provide 6 of my best horses for them, and we'll deal with that later. But he said, I can go get those horses ready and have them saddled and ready to go. And he looks to Melania and he says, "Why don't you take the ones who need healing to your cottage? I will get the horses and bring them to your cottage."
And Captain Elwig, be careful when...
Elwig's already gone.
Oh,
he already went back to the inn to get the prisoners.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell him something, but okay.
So with that, Durst then drafts a acknowledgement letter, and he seals it with the signet of Anger and gives that to you, Liber. And it's basically just you see him penning it, while it's drying and stuff. You see it. It's basically just an acknowledgement and gratitude for Lord Trevor's generosity, and acknowledging that Anger is providing you guys with the means to return expeditiously. So that dries. So Sarah, you go with Melania back to her cottage, and while she's providing you with some tending to your wounds and also gives you a tincture, you are recuperated with 6 hit points. So that brings you up to a whopping 11.
Yeah. Oh well, that's all right.
So
But
you're feeling a little bit better. The rest of you guys go with Heinrich James, and you go to his stables. And he's kind of showing you where everything is. You get all your, blankets, saddles, bit and bridle, all the riding gear that you need. He throws sacks of grain onto each horse for you guys, and basically leads you back to Melania's cottage. Smash cut back to the inn. Oldrad and Claude and Critter, you guys are guarding the 2 prisoners. And the rest of your group has been gone for probably 45 minutes. And you hear a knock at the door. And you hear a voice say, Claude Oxborne, it's Captain Elwig."
I recognize his voice through the door.
Yes.
I'll open it with my foot behind the door, just on a little, what do you call it? Little angle.
Yeah.
To peek out, and okay, it's really him. And
you see Elwig. Yeah, he comes in, and basically he explains to you guys what the agreement is that Mayor Durst has offered to detain Karamina and Jeffrey, and that they'll keep them at the jail in Anger so that you guys can ride. He tells you to pack up your stuff and bring the prisoners with him to the jail. So Oldrad gets all of his stuff. You get your stuff, and you start to bring the prisoners who are a bit drowsy. You leave the inn, you start walking down a few blocks, and you get to the jail. He gets his keys out, opens up the doors, and opens up a cell within the jail, puts Karamina in there, locks it, opens up the other cell, puts Jeffrey in there, locks it. And then you see that 2 of the night guards come over, and you hear Captain Elwig tell them that, you know, these are detainees, that they have to be watched at all times, and that he's going to send word to the barracks to have another cadre of 4 other guards here at the jail. After that, basically, he tells you where Melania's cottage is and tells you to meet there. He explains that Heinrich James is going to have horses for you guys to ride. The rest of you guys, basically, after getting horses, after Melania provides you with some healing, let me see who the other person with the lowest hit point count is. Leonard and Bivoj.
Almost full, but it's still the lowest.
Yes. So Leonard, she also applies some salve to your wounds, and she gives you this tincture to drink, and you regain 4 hit points, which is actually pretty good for you. So you're at 17. Bivoj, she does the same thing for you. She puts this salve on your wounds and gives you this tincture, and you feel pretty good. You gain 5 hit points back. Bivoj now has 21 of 35. All right. So with all of that said, it is, by the time all of it, you know, by the time the meeting's done, the transfer of the prisoners, you guys get all your stuff from the inn, you get the horses, everybody's all together. It's 2 a.m, and you basically start heading towards the north gate to ride out. The guards at the north gate open the gates. You guys leave all of your weapons, all your supplies, and the horses that are freshly stocked. So you begin heading out, and everyone is fatigued, but you ride until dawn. You cannot gallop because you can't really see anything, so you're going by moonlight, and you're going at like a light trot. You get to the forest, and at dawn you get to the bridge that crosses the stream. However, unlike before, you don't see any guards there. You may remember that there was like a group of like 4 teenage boys who were guarding that bridge. There are no guards at the bridge.
Proceed with caution.
Okay.
Do we see some signs of struggle?
Go ahead. If those of you who want to look around for some signs of struggle, as the sun is coming up, you do have a little more light. You can go ahead and make some wisdom roll unders.
Can I just, in case from the bigger distance, pull out the what's the word? Spyglass to check out from distance?
Yes, you can.
2 over.
I'm also pretty
Well,
far.
Too much.
It's 13 over.
I got a 2.
Massive fail.
Liber, you don't see any evidence of anything here. On the other side of the bridge, you do see like 2 tents. You see a small ring of stones for a campfire.
Yeah, I thought it was something like a camp or a guardhouse.
Yeah, and you see basically like what looks like the camp where those boys were. You even see a wooden crate, and the crate, like the lid of the crate is, you know, open, and inside you see like spoiled food. Basically, doesn't look like any of the food was taken. When you look in the tents, you guys see their bedrolls are still there, and you even see like 2 of their spears like leaning up against one of the tents. But Liber, as you look, you notice that like there's old footprints from perhaps like, you know, when they were walking around to and from the bridge. But to the west of the road that heads north, you actually notice what looks like a group of drag marks that like lead to the west, and they go through the grass field that follows the river west until it gets to the woods, as if something or someone was dragged.
I'm going to point this out loud. It looks like they were dragged away, and I'm pointing towards where they went.
And based on your success, you don't think that this was recent. This has at least been several days or nights.
Okay, the things may be in motion already, so we should hurry.
Okay, you guys continue to ride.
Yeah.
All right. You ride for another 3 hours. You pass by a farmstead. You know that you're approaching Lee Castle and Lee Town. You don't see any livestock out in the fields, and you don't see anybody working. You don't see any smoke from the chimney of the cottage at the farmstead. Basically looks abandoned.
Did they evacuate everyone back to the castle?
I don't
wonder
think
if
this is an evacuation, because those boys were dragged away. The guards. Something's going on.
Do you stop to investigate the farmstead?
Would it be? Is it like just like right here? Do we have to travel?
Yeah, it's like 100 feet off the road.
Yeah, I'm gonna look quickly.
Okay, you guys ride up. As you get closer, you notice the barn door is just open. You notice that the chicken coop has no chickens. And you see that the front door of the cottage is smashed and destroyed.
No blood splatter anywhere or no bodies.
Well, do you go in?
Yeah. Sword drawn.
When you go in the cottage, it clearly looks like some kind of conflict happened. Like there are chairs flipped over, a table, like dishes that are broken on the floor. And you see like what looks like normal, farmer stuff, clothing and stuff just scattered around, as if the whole place was turned upside down. But you don't find any people, and you don't find any blood splatter or blood marks anywhere.
Okay.
Let's just go. Let's just get to the castle.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm just going to do a quick call out for if is anyone here. We're the militia from Lee County. Come out if you're hiding, and just listen for a sec. And if no reply, then leave.
Really quickly.
You hear, after about 30 seconds, you hear a small voice go, "Dada, Dada." It seems to be coming from like below you.
All right. I'm gonna
trapdoors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lift up some carpets or whatever.
You guys look around, and you see like a dresser, like a wooden dresser, and you can see in the like wood floor like scratch marks, as if this dresser was dragged hastily and not lifted.
I'm going to pull it aside.
Okay, when you pull it aside, you indeed see a trap door.
All right. Hey Bane, come over here and help out for a sec. As he's here, I'm going to open up the lid and peer down.
When you open up the trapdoor, in the crawl space, you see two children. You see a boy who looks like he's maybe 6 years old, and a girl who they have like similar complexion and hair color, who looks like she's maybe 3. And you see the boy like holding the girl and looking up scared.
Hi there, son. We're we're the good guys. Coming out, and I reach down and
He recoils at first and he says, "Are the monsters gone?"
yeah, there's no one here. What? Coming out?
He looks at his sister and the little girl goes, "Where Dada? Where Mama? Where brother?"
It's coming out, and we'll try and find them.
He looks up and he says, "Okay, come on." And he pushes the girl up and then he kind of climbs out himself and they both look at all of you. You can just tell like they look like they maybe have been down there for a couple days.
Yeah, I'm gonna call Critter over and
Bane,
just
roll a d20 and tell me what you get.
while he's doing that, I'm gonna
19.
like I said, I'm gonna call Critter over and just put a little boy's hand on his pelt and help him stroke him, just to get him more at ease.
Okay.
I'll give the little girl and the little boy something to eat from my rations.
Okay. So you guys take a couple minutes. You give them some food. They eagerly eat the food. Like it's clear to you that they probably haven't eaten. You give them some water. They drink some water. They just seem to basically be confused and shook up. After a few minutes, the little boy tells you that he says a few nights ago, and he doesn't know how long ago because he's been in a crawl space. A few nights ago, they were all sleeping and they heard noises, and his older brother and his father went to check on the noises, and they came back and bolted the door, and they said there were monsters, and the mom hid the two little ones in the crawl space and told them not to make any noise, and that the boy heard like growling and snarling and there was fighting, but then he heard the monsters take his family away, and he heard the horses and he heard the chickens all outside, and he said the monsters took all of them away.
What kind
Does
of
this
monsters,
sound familiar to
boy?
us in any way?
The boy? No, he doesn't seem familiar, but
The story of the monsters. Or...
I want to look around the the room and see if I recognize any Vajulat hair. Fur or...
You don't
anything.
see any fur.
Okay.
But the boy seemed to think that the monsters took his parents and his older brother and the chickens and the horses.
I'm gonna inspect that torn down door more closely for if there's any scratches, claw marks.
It is clearly something that was not done with claws. Like it looks like it was smashed open, like perhaps with axes. Like the wood is just chopped up.
Okay, so it's not just a battering ram style shoulder to the door, it's actually tooled.
Yeah, maybe hammers and axes are what caused that, because they had a deadbolt on the inside. Like you could see where the mounting was, and it's all just split.
All right.
I want to check out the chicken coop and where the horses stay.
Okay.
As well as want to know if there's any mud in the front area that could have any tracks in it.
Is anyone going out there with Bane to investigate?
Yeah, I do.
So both of you go ahead and roll your wisdom roll unders.
Two.
What is 2? Okay.
Yeah.
I have 8.
Okay, so you guys go out there. You could see that the chicken coop, that the gate was just hastily kicked in. You see feathers all over the place. And when you look in the coop, you actually still see some eggs, but there are no chickens. You see what look like two sets of wheels, perhaps like a small wagon or cart that seem to be going from the chicken coop towards the barn. When you get to the barn, you see the stalls for the horses. You don't see any horses. What's odd to you is that the saddles and all the riding gear are all just sitting there, but the horses themselves are gone. And it looks like, based on the tracks that you see, that the horses were led out along with this wagon, and then it went west through their fields.
Well, I look at the little girl and I say, "Want to ride with me on a horse?"
She looks at her brother, and her brother nods. And then she says, yes.
"May I hold you?"
Yes.
And I'll pick her up, wrap my cloak around her, and head to my horse. And
Okay.
I hope the boy will come with you. I'll take them out to the horses.
Okay, so Sarah, Liber, I'm assuming like all of you guys, after searching this farmstead, you're taking the kids with you to Leetown. Okay, so you guys take the kids, you start riding again, you're going up the road. You pass by 2 more farms where you do see people, but you notice that these other 2 farms, that the people are loading up wagons, like with their like crates of chickens, and like they're tying the livestock like with rope into a train, and they're throwing like clothes and chests of provisions and stuff onto wagons, and they seem to be hurriedly like packing stuff up. And the second farm that you pass by, as you guys are going up the road, you see a young like teenage boy run out from his family's stuff as they're packing up their things, and he says, "Travelers, you shouldn't be on the roads. Are you going to Leetown?"
Yes.
He
is
says,
there-
"With haste, hurry. We're packing up. We're heading there now while we still have light. Lord Trevor has sent word to all the local hamlets and farms that everyone should come to Lee Castle. There are
We hear
dangers."
what's happening.
I don't. I've only heard rumors. My father said that some of the farms in the south of Lee County have been attacked, and we have not received word from some of our neighbors. We're packing up our things and evacuating to the castle.
Can we? I turn to the group. Can we give him message and children and go investigate? Best, probably.
Well, I feel we should go to his father and give a brief explanation that the farm that these kids are from was raided a couple of days ago. And
right.
if they can take care of the kid.
And
So when you go to the father, he recognizes the kids.
Yeah.
And basically asks like what happened. And then he's like, "Oh, may the one true God watch over them." He says, "Yes, we'll take the kids with us to Lee Castle." And he sees Liber and he says, "Father," he's like, please pray for all of us." And then you see him packing up the rest of his family. He's like, hurry. And the kids are getting on the wagon, and his son's tying up the other livestock, and they start leading them out towards the road that you guys are going up. So as you guys continue heading north, are you like moving faster, or are you kind of keeping pace with the farmers?
No, let's make the speed.
Okay, so you guys start, you intermittently gallop, and the last mile before Lee Castle, you see a patrol of militia on horses, and they're in full armor, and you see them kind of ride up, and they kind of come up to you, and one of them says, "You there, ho! Are you returning to the castle?"
We are.
He says, "Did you see any farmers?
yes,
Are they coming?"
yes.
Good. Go to the castle with haste. The gates are closed, but present yourselves. And then they ride past you south towards the farmers. You guys ride more, and as you're coming up around the bend, you see the palisade of the town of Lee, and the gates are closed. You see 4 guards outside and 2 guards on the rampart with longbows. You guys approach. They look at you and they're like, "Are you coming to seek sanctuary?" And they look at all of you, and you notice one of them is looking and says, some of you seem wounded, and like points to like spots of blood on your armor and clothes. Were you engaged in battle? Did you fight anything? You notice he says anything, not anyone.
We know what's going on. We're returning to speak back to Lord Trevor.
Oh, well, at once. And he motions, they open up the gates, you guys ride in. When you get through the gates, the town is dead. Like, nobody's out on the streets. All of the buildings, doors are closed, windows, like shutters, closed. You ride up, and when you get, about halfway through the town, you see up on the hill the castle. You ride up the trail on the hill, you get to the castle gates. The castle gates are open, and you guys are basically coming up to a line. You see like 40 people, some of them with wagons, some with horses, some of them just on foot, all of them like carrying supplies and provisions, and they're hurriedly being like ushered into the castle by the guards. They're like, that way, go to the very end, set up a small spot there, we'll assess everything and figure out where people are going to stay. Just get inside. You see up on the ramparts in two different directions. You see longbowmen and you see people with long spyglasses, like looking out at the horizon. Eventually you guys get up in the line and you're brought into the castle gates. The guard just points to a spot that's open in the courtyard. You see probably 200 people. Just the courtyard is full. It's like making your way through a crowd at a concert. Like, there's just people everywhere. You guys have to get off your horses. Literally, there's no way to ride through. You make your way up to the castle gates themselves, and there are two guards there. And the guards say, what do you need? What is your business? They look to you, Liber.
We're returning with news for Lord Trevor. We need to speak with him.
And the one looks to the other guard and he says, get the steward. A few moments later, the steward comes out and he sees all of you and he says, come quickly, come in. He escorts you down to the hall, but instead of seeing a dining table set up, the entire table's been cleared. And you see Lord Trevor and a group of about 12 different militia captains. And there's like maps and basically like small miniatures, like toy soldiers, like tokens representing units and stuff. And they're all kind of consulting about stuff. Lord Trevor looks up and he sees you and he comes over to you guys. And he says, what word? He says, what took so long?
We've got some unfortunate encounters on the way.
He says, well, time is of the essence. I have no soldiers left to patrol, and I need to ensure the welfare of the citizens of Lee County. He says, are you going to render the services that you vowed to render?
Yes.
He says,
Excuse me, I want to go over and look at the map and quickly assess the situation.
Okay. You see that basically on the map it shows the proper area of Lee County, but also the western borders, the northern mountain range, and then across the river on the eastern side, you see a few indications of settlements. And you notice that like the tokens for those settlements have been flipped over, and you get the sense that like the ones that are flipped over are like hamlets and farmsteads and settlements that have been in question as to whether they're still around or have been attacked. He points to the western outpost, and you see basically like almost like a chess piece for a tower. And he says, this is the last area that we don't know. He says, this is where I need you to go.
Can I see on the map if the farmhouse that was raided, that we found, if that was marked already?
No, interestingly enough, that shows up as normal. Like the three farmsteads that you guys passed, the one that was wiped out where you found the kids is still showing up as normal, which you presume is because his patrol.
Yeah.
The bridge also, The bridge also shows up as still intact.
All right. Well, the bridge was intact, but
I flipped those two settlement things, and I say we're gonna get out. We're gonna head out at once.
And the guards
Yeah,
are gone.
you notice the captains confirm. Like, you do you tell them basically what you found?
Yeah.
yeah.
So they start talking, then they're gesturing.
And that was a couple of days ago.
So Lord Trevor turns to one of the captains and he says, he looks to the captain and he says, "What do they need to do and what do we need to know?" And the captain looks at all of you and he says, "We need you to go to this outpost. We need to see what happened and we need to know what we're facing. What is the scope of this threat?" He says, "These raids are far bolder than any raids from any low people have been in anyone's recent memory. We need to know if we're dealing with a horde. We need to know if we're dealing with something that isn't low people. And we need to know soon."
May hint on why kidnappings and not murders at this spot.
Raids by low people typically involve theft, maybe stealing some chickens or, stealing a horse or a cow. But what we've sustained so far seems to be much more organized, strategic. It just doesn't make sense. It's not something that the low people typically deal with. And point blank, if whatever attacked our outpost, if there's no raids from primitive low people that could overcome a fortified outpost. That keep has been around for generations.
Is it possible that the low people could be controlled in a way to act in a different manner, one that is more organized? Have they been known to have been used by other entities in the past?
No. I mean, the captain says, not known to be, no.
Well, my lord, during the time we were gone, we've learned about maybe some higher powers that are in play, and possibly the third party that's playing the power house, that we don't know of. We will go to that outpost and we will make haste, but just before we go, I'm not a scholarly type, but does your library maybe has some information about the Norgenheim, or maybe the location of that place? Because that's probably where we should go after we return, if we return.
Lord Trevor says, "My library will be availed to you upon completion of this mission. I assure you, you will have the full cooperation of my house. But please, it is urgent that we know about the status of this outpost. If it has fallen, by what, and what threats we face."
Are there any secondary entries to the outpost from this side?
So at that question, the captain goes over to the map and he shows you a route from Lee Castle west. And it's a small trail. It's not frequently traveled other than for resupplying the keep at the outpost. And he basically points this out, and he shows you that there's a winding path up the hill to where the keep is situated at the outpost. He says there was an old mine at the northern base of that hill that you could try to access if for some reason you can't get up to the keep. He isn't sure if the tunnels down lead up to the keep or not, because that mine has been out of use for many, many years. But he says there's either the main path up to the keep or perhaps that mine shaft on the northern end of the hill.
Okay. We just wanted to know, because if they can organize them, they can probably man the keep, which might be also bad.
Okay. So, with that, basically, Lord Trevor gives you his blessing. It is middle of the day, so you guys still have sunlight. And it is about an hour ride to the outpost.
I want to ask for 2 carrier pigeons if they have.
Messengers?
Yeah.
Yes. He says the steward will provide that for you.
Thank you.
Okay, so you guys go back out. He tells the steward to provide you with 2 carrier pigeons. The steward runs off. He comes back with 2 cages. And you see that there's a little leather pouch that has like small strips of paper for writing messages and a little leather tie to put around the carrier pigeons.
I'll keep them with me.
Okay. So you guys are led back out. The guards bring you through the crowds. They basically are like, everybody move, and people like part the ways. You guys come through, striding through this crowd. They get your horses. They open up the castle gates. You see more refugees coming in up the hill as you guys are riding down. You go back out to the gate and you head around to the west side of the town outside of the palisade, and you start riding west. You follow the trail. It's kind of a sort of a barren trail. There's sporadic trees and scrub brush. No farms in this area. Just kind of plains. And after riding for, about a half an hour, the town is way in the distance. You ride and you continue to ride, and you see just over the horizon line, maybe, a mile away, you see a small hill, and you see a structure on top of that hill.
Let's pick out spyglass and look from the distance.
All right. Your first assessment is you see the keep on top of the hill, and it looks like an old stone keep. There's a tower kind of in the center that rises above the rest of the building structures and above the wall. From what you could see, the keep looks intact. It doesn't look like the walls have been destroyed or anything's been burned. You don't see scorch marks, but you also don't see any people. Like, you don't see anyone on the ramparts. You don't see anyone outside of the keep walls. It just looks like an empty outpost.
Any signs of like smoke or something coming from it?
No signs of smoke. It looks abandoned. Now, you are pretty far away, so do you guys continue riding along the path towards the keep? Okay. All right. As you get closer, you're about a half mile away. Leonard pulls out the spyglass and looks again. Leonard, still, you don't see anyone up on the ramparts. You don't see anyone by the gates. You don't see anyone guarding outside. You don't see any movement or lights in the tower. Continue riding.
Anything in surrounding?
That is very odd. That's very odd.
It does seem very odd. You don't see anyone even in the fields. You don't see anyone on the road. You kind of do a full perimeter scan, and you're looking across the whole vista of mostly open ground with a few trees and some bushes here and there, and a lot of rocks, because this is, bear in mind that this is kind of the foothills, before you get to the mountains, that kind of area. So it's you see the mountains in the distance, like not even that far of a distance. Like the mountains kind of rise up to the north, to the west as you're approaching the outpost. You continue riding.
Yes, definitely.
Is that winding path they mentioned, that ultimate path, is that nearby or is that?
So you see, Leonard sees that as you guys are approaching, so you're heading west towards the outpost. You see on the eastern side of the outpost is where that path goes up the hill to the gate, which is on the eastern side. So the outpost gate faces east towards Lee Castle.
I think everybody will be gone there, but it's still worth investigating, and we might see something from the top of the keep.
Okay. As you guys continue riding, you are at the base of the hill, and you're looking up at the keep. It is quiet. I mean, it's like 4 p.m. You still have plenty of sunlight. I mean, you hear the sounds of nature, like birds and insects and stuff like that, but you still don't see or hear anyone near the keep. You ride up the trail and you get to the gate, and the gate is closed. As you see the gate, it looks like it's in fine condition. It doesn't look like it has been attacked. It doesn't look like it's been chopped at or rammed in any fashion. It looks intact, but it is closed. You do not hear any sounds on the other side of the gate from inside of the interior courtyard.
Well, I'm still gonna strike the door, the gate with the back of my with the pommel.
Okay.
Make a better sound.
You knock on the gate, basically. You don't hear any movement within. The gate is pretty sturdy. I mean, it's an old wooden palisade, but it's pretty sturdy. And you could see kind of through the cracks in the gate that the wooden deadbolt, like the big wooden timber, is still there, bracing it.
Well, how big is the place? Is it easy to run around with gallop around?
Yeah, I mean, you could gallop around, but this is the only way that you know of to get inside of the yards of the keep. And the gate and the palisades are 15-foot tall wood.
Yeah, I want to check.
You could climb over it if you want, but...
Well, I want to run around to see if there's any breach elsewhere.
Okay, you ride. It's going to take a few minutes for you to do that. So you're going to ride all the way around? Okay, so you ride around. You go around the south end. You go around the west end. You can see the mountains to the west and the north. You ride around to the north end. And the palisades, the wooden walls, all look intact. When you get to the north end, at the base of the hill, you see like a ring of stones and timbers, like heavy wooden timbers that create like an archway, and you see this entrance to a mine.
And that's
you don't notice any damage to the palisades.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's try the mine.
Was I alone, guys, or was everyone following?
I think I was following as well.
Okay. So the rest of you are standing outside of the gate. What do you want to do?
Is there any way for us to, like, if we throw a rope up to climb up a little bit, see if there's any way to see in? Or...
Sure. If anyone has a rope and a grappling hook, they could climb over.
I have a rope. I don't know if anyone has a grappling hook though.
I do. Let me double check.
I think Oldrad does too. So let's assume for the sake of time that you toss a hook up and it seems to be very solidly anchored. Who's climbing?
I don't want to go over. I just want to go up and look in.
Okay. You climb up. You get to the top. You're kind of holding yourself up using the rope and the top of the palisade. You look into the grounds, and you see about 15 dead soldiers, and it looks like their bodies have been rotting for probably a week. You see a few dead horses. You see supplies and things just scattered all over the place. It looks like the interior, like doors to the keep, the double doors that open up into the main keep building, were rammed. Like they're split and like hanging from their hinges.
Okay, so I'm gonna climb down and let everyone know what I see. The dead soldiers, the whole thing. And Sarah, I think we need to use one of those pigeons to let Lord Trevor know that the keep is fallen.
I'm already starting to write down notes. No answer at gate, main keep doors rammed, and dead soldiers, you said? How many?
I saw at least 15, and they were like a week old.
15 dead, and rations spoiled around?
Yeah, no sign of life.
No sign of life. Okay.
Liber, you realize that if you throw your rope onto the other side, that if maybe you and Bane were on the other side, you could probably lift the deadbolt off and open the gate so the rest of you guys could get in.
Okay.
So Bane, you climb over, and a few minutes later, the two of you slide the big wooden deadbolt off, and you open up one of the gates, so the rest of the group can come in on horseback.
When everyone's in, I close it and lock it behind us.
Okay, so everybody's in.
I'll leave the message in the chat here, and I'll let the first pigeon go.
Okay. All right. So you guys are in. What are you exploring? There's a wide open, area you see kind of built into the structure of the palisades on the inside are a series of stalls, basically, like not full buildings, but kind of like wall, roof, like slanted roof. A couple of the stalls look like they're for storage, and they seem like they've been gone through hastily. Like you see grain just spilled out on the floor. Some of the stalls have stacked firewood, doesn't seem to be touched. You notice that one of the stalls looks like perhaps a blacksmith's workshop, and you notice that there are no tools hanging in the workshop at all, like all of them removed. As you're looking at some of the bodies, these are clearly the soldiers that were manning the outpost. You notice that many of them have they're like severe slash marks from weapons, not from claws or teeth. Like these are precise weapons. You notice that some of them are just littered with arrows. And when you look at the arrows, particularly those of you who are archers, these are not arrows that look like the kind of primitive arrows with stone tips that are made by low people or used by low people. First of all, they're precise, and they have iron tips, and they're long, which you infer means that these were arrows that were fired from longbows. And it looks like you see that there are definitely some kind of wagon wheel marks that look like that they maybe came in and circled and then went out the same gate. Like multiple wagon wheel marks.
Is the battleground, is it soil and grass and dirt, or is it stone?
It's mostly dirt with some rocks. There is like a proper stone path that leads towards the entrance to the keep, but you guys have not yet gone into that building.
I'm going to pull all the soldiers together and stack the bodies, and take my axe and dig a little trench in the yard.
Okay.
Before we spend too much time, I think maybe we should unlock the main gate. Whatever.
Why?
The gate was locked. Whatever did this may still be inside. If we need to make a hasty retreat.
Yeah, I second that.
Oldrad volunteers to stay out in the yard to keep an eye out if you guys want to do that.
Okay.
And
I'll be working on these
if
bodies.
you give him a whistle, he'll slide the deadbolt.
Okay. I'll help Bane with the trench quickly. Make it go a little faster.
All right. It is 5 o'clock, let's say. You still have some sunlight. The doors to the manor, you see that they've just been rammed.
Mm-hmm.
You guys go in?
Well, I'm going to say, I wonder if I saw what looked like a mine down below. I wonder if there's an entrance to the mine from in here, or that they managed to dig up into this place, and that's how they got in and out. Seeing as the outside of the keep is just fine, and the doors are still locked.
No, I think they just came here, rammed the doors, took all the people and everything useful to the mine, and I bet you all the farm people and everyone they've been kidnapping is working in the mine for the Nicholas. Remember, he was a metallurgist.
But how would they lock the door from the outside?
Yeah.
So
they
I
could
see
have
I see
climbed
your
in and out
point.
like we did, but
Right, I see your point,
Why?
Claude, and I think that is worth looking into to see if there's a mine entrance from inside the estate. I'm going to stay here with these bodies and burn them. I've heard too many tales of reanimated dead corpses to let them just sit here.
Oldrad tells you that he will do that.
Are all the doors busted from outside in, or
Yes.
are there some busted
It
from inside?
is clear to you that some kind of battering ram or something was used to batter the doors from the outside in, because they're smashed in and hanging off the hinges. Like something of great force was used.
Shall
so
we
we're
explore?
better off inspecting the grounds, see if there's any what looks like a tunnel or mine things that went down into the ground.
Outside, you find no evidence of anything that goes down into the hill. I'm assuming that, that's why I said, that's why it's like 5 o'clock, because I'm assuming that you guys took like a good half an hour to search the whole grounds. That's, how you found out about the blacksmith shop. You stacked the bodies, all that stuff. You start digging a trench. So yeah, by that time you've determined there's no outside on the grounds. There's no means of going into the hill.
Okay.
I want to take a torch and go to the commanding seat of this outpost, because usually the escape hatch is close to the seat of the commander.
Well, that would be inside. So are you guys going inside the manor?
I will.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a torch is necessary, because as you guys approach, there's no lights. I mean, there are a few windows, so you have some natural light coming through the windows, but there are no lights. Like, there are sconces on the walls, but nothing has been lit here. It is evident to you. You look inside. When you enter the main entrance foyer, you see that everything is in disarray, as if it was just like all the furniture was just tossed around. You see, bureaus and desks just smashed. You see, there's rooms off to either side. You go into the kitchens. In the kitchens, you see that there are still stocks of food, like on the shelves in the pantry. All the cooking supplies and pots and pans are all there. You notice in the dining hall, everything, all the decorations torn off the walls, furniture smashed, chests torn open, like and just bashed in, clothing, uniforms. You see a storeroom, which looks like there were wooden pegs on the walls, like perhaps to hold weapons. There are no weapons in the storeroom at all. In another adjacent room, you see like wooden dowels mounted on the floor, perhaps that held armor and shields. And again, no armor and shields. Completely cleared out. There is a set of stairs that goes up to the second floor. When you go up to the second floor, you see basically dormitory rooms. Each room is set up almost like a barracks room with bunk beds, and it looks like the rooms could have held upwards of 32 total people. You notice that the beds are all torn up. The bed frames smashed, the mattresses and sheets cut up. You notice that the foot lockers and storage closets all ramshackled, like just torn up. At the end of the hall is another set of stairs that goes up into the tower. And when you go up those winding spiral stairs, you get to the tower, the third floor, that looks out over the grounds. And you see that there's windows in every direction, almost in a kind of a hexagonal shape. And you see an office that is set up, and you see spyglasses on these wooden tripods that are at each of the windows. You notice that the spyglasses are there. The desk is smashed up. You see that there's like a bureau, and there you see books on the bureau, but you see like slots where scroll tubes could have been held that look maybe larger. You know what? Everybody make an intelligence roll.
Fuck.
Roll under.
Strength? Can we get a strength one of these times?
Finally.
3.
Okay.
7.
I got 5 under.
Those of you who succeeded, especially those of you with any military background, you get the sense that maybe this is where maps would have been stored, rolled up onto wooden dowels and slotted into this bureau. And you see that those maps are gone. But like the books that are on the shelf, like there's like history books and agricultural books and books about nature. Those are all like just sitting on the shelf, undisturbed. But the slots where the maps were are gone.
Can I take a look in each of these spyglasses and try to find if there is like a sign of any group away, in the directions away from the castle?
I will let you do that. It's going to take a few minutes for you to go to each one of the 6 and survey.
Yeah.
I'll go to one.
Okay.
I want to point it in the direction I think the mine is in.
Okay. Leonard, go ahead and make an intelligence roll under.
13 out of 18, so should be something.
So, Sarah, you look to the north because that's where the mine entrance is, under the hill. From this vantage point, you can't see the mine entrance, but you look to the north. You don't see like any tracks, any trails, any, evidence that there would be anything. You do see the mountains, which are prominently, above and in front of you. In fact, everyone from this tower advantage can see. Anybody looking back east through the spyglass, you basically see the road that you just took to get to the outpost. You cannot see Lee Castle because it's too far away. The spyglass doesn't really, give you any impression that far. Leonard, you succeeded on your roll. Okay. You don't see anything particular when you're looking out of these different things, but when you look through the western one, You do notice that there is sort of a valley that proceeds west from the outpost, and it kind of looks like it goes into the mountain range, like at ground level, sort of between two mountains, almost like a little ravine or valley. And as you're looking out there, you notice that there are deep ruts in the ground, in the rocky ground and dirt that seem to head west into that valley, into the mountain range.
We have direction to where some of the attackers might have gone and from.
You do, and I'll say, since you made your intelligence roll, the spacing between those ruts looks like about the same size as the ruts that you saw in the yard that looked like they were leaving. Almost as if like there was maybe a train of wagons that were heavy enough to make deep ruts that looks like they were going west.
Seems like I turned to the group. Seems like here on the west there was somebody with wagons going back and forth. There's a lot of them.
As you guys are up in the tower, kind of studying all this, what are the rest of you doing?
Is there a basement to this building?
You did not find a way to get into a basement, but you assume that there must be some kind of cellar in order to keep some of the foodstuffs cold. You could go back down to the main level and look for that.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a bit crowded up in the tower, so I'll be coming down as well.
Okay. You guys return to the main level. You go back into the kitchens, and you notice a door from the kitchens. You open the wooden door, and there is a set of stairs that leads down. It kind of goes down to a landing, turns, and then goes down again. And when you go down into the cellar, you see that there is foodstuffs. There is jarred preserves, dried items. It's a little cooler in this basement. You see some casks of wine, and all of it seems to be there.
So nothing looks out of place.
It doesn't seem to be like smashed up or, as if anybody went in there like the rest of the keep. Are you kind of looking around?
Yes, really. Just a cursory look. I don't want to waste too much time. I don't want to look around.
All right. So let's see. Bane, that would be Bane, Claude, and Liber. And Bivoj.
Good wine.
Okay. Go ahead and make wisdom roll unders, the four of you. Bane, Claude, Liber, and Bivoj.
No.
Even. I got even. I don't know what that means.
Before I go down, I will finish my note and send the other pigeon up.
Okay, so you're doing that up in the tower with Leonard. Okay. Yeah. Who amongst you guys succeeded, and what did you get? What's the lowest roll?
I got a 6 of 6.
You got a natural 1?
Natural 1. I'm doing good.
Okay.
Nice,
so,
goes my net 20.
You guys are kind of searching through. Bane, you notice, like, you kind of go over to the wine, and you're like, oh, and you're like looking, and you're like, it's nothing fancy. It's like kind of low grade wine that you would have for soldiers, but you're like, oh, I would drink this, and you're kind of looking, and you set it back down on the shelf, and the shelf kind of rocks back and forth a little bit. And Liber, as he's doing that, you notice something. You notice that this shelf is not anchored to the wall, like it's freestanding. So the two of you kind of sort of slide and lift the shelf, and you see behind this shelf is, like, literally carved into the rock is an opening. It's not framed out or anything. It's like literally just punched through in the rock. And you're holding your torch, and you see that it looks like almost like a cave type tunnel that looks like it was hewn away in the same style as a mine. And about 10 feet into this, you see wooden timbers that look very old, like really, really old. And then there's some kind of stairs that go down.
Does the entryway from the cellar, does it look like it's been there for a long time, or is it fresh?
It looks like it's older than the wooden palisades outside of the fort.
Okay.
Do you see any footprints or you recent activity?
So, you do not see, well, you see a pair of prints kind of in the dust. And it looks like boot prints. And it looks like the boot prints are one way. Meaning like coming towards the cellar, not into the mine. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you're like looking and you see these prints, and it looks like they came up the stairs through this tunnel to the door that you just discovered, to the opening that you just discovered. Also, the entrance to this is 5 feet tall. So like Bane, you literally, like, this is a 5 foot tall tunnel. So anyone
is it the whole way? The whole way, the whole
Yeah.
ceiling is like that.
Oh. It's short, and it's only about 3 feet wide. So
I'm going to need
a very narrow tunnel.
We didn't find any battering ram looking kind of thing out in the courtyard. Right?
You did not.
Strange. How did they batter down the door?
Yeah.
Well, you did see giant wheel ruts, as if wagons were there, so you could make an assumption about that. So Bane, you and Liber have discovered this opening. It looks like it goes about 10 feet, and then it looks like it goes to a set of stairs that lead down. Claude,
adventure awaits.
You and Critter and Bivoj are just behind, and you could also see this tunnel. You notice that the draft of the torch that Liber is holding kind of flickers back and forth.
Yeah. I think we better go get the rest of the party and then head down.
Agreed.
All right. You run up. As you run up, you see Sarah and Leonard coming down. And the three of you, Claude, Sarah, and Leonard, smell a atrocious smell. Terrible smell. Seemingly coming from outside.
Yes. Yeah, that would be the body burning.
Yeah.
Low people.
It does smell like bodies burning.
Oh yeah. We shouldn't forget bringing him in.
Let's send Pigeon and continue downstairs then.
Okay, you guys go down. Does anyone tell Oldrad what you're doing? Okay, so one of you guys runs out. Claude, you run out. You see the pile is on fire. Oldrad is standing like 10 feet away with a cloth over his face. And he looks over at you. You tell him that you guys are going down. You see he does some symbol in the air, and then he bows to the pile, and then he follows you in. So the group of you are in the cellar. This is a very short passage, only 5 feet tall and 3 feet wide, so you have to proceed single file. Who is going first?
I suppose I'll go first.
Oh. No, you shouldn't. You're too cramped. I'll go first.
I'm pretty crammed.
Okay, Liber, you have a torch. You're leading. Who else is carrying a torch? So Bane, are you in the back?
I guess I'll take the rear.
Okay. I still have a torch.
I'm going to be second with Critter and getting my sword out.
Okay, Liber, and Claude make wisdom roll unders.
No, 4 over.
Natural 20.
Okay. You guys go into the tunnel. And as you go through about 10 feet, you're looking down with your torch. You see that there are stone-hewn stairs, very rough, that seem to lead down about 20 feet. And then it looks like it levels out onto another stone path. You start proceeding down the stairs?
Stealthily.
Okay. You get to the bottom of the stairs. And it looks like this tunnel goes about 10 feet and then splits off into T intersection. One going to the right, one going to the left.
Which way is the torch flickering?
It goes to the right.
Okay. I'm gonna grab my crowbar and make a mark.
Okay.
And say head left, head right.
Okay. So you could see down the T intersection to the left. It goes about 10 feet. And then you see an actual, door. The wood of the door looks very old, but the door is intact. To the right, it looks like the hallway goes for about 30 feet and then descends to another set of stairs.
Well, I feel we should be heading down, but I guess you guys would want to check the door.
Yeah.
Okay. Liber, you head to the left. You go to the door. You see an old iron sconce, nailed into the stone wall, but there's no torch in it, and it looks very old, like it's been there for a long time.
I'll put my torch in there.
Okay. The door is not locked. However, it seems that moisture has swollen the wood. You try to open it, it's just stuck. And you could see that, the wood is swollen out to the frame.
Strength roll under.
All right, Bane's excitedly pushing his way through past you guys.
I'll try to shoulder check the door even though I don't have much room, but that will turn me sideways and give me a little bit more of room for momentum.
Okay.
I rolled a 2.
You bash the door in. And when you do, it opens up into a room that is about a 12-foot by 12-foot square. And you see that there is slots of shelving, wooden shelving that looks very old, with picks and bars, crowbars, metal crowbars, and shovels kind of in these slots. All of them look very old. The whole room is covered in dust.
I like to do a more in-depth search of the room.
Okay. As you guys kind of look in the room, this seems to just be a tool storage room. Perhaps when the mine was active.
I'm specifically looking for anything that has markings on it or reminds me of the metal used for the candlesticks and the disc, things like that.
No such thing. Most of the tools, the picks, the wooden handles, are rotten. A lot of the tools are rusted, very old, covered in dust and cobwebs.
And this seems like it's just a solitary room with no other exits or entrances.
Correct. You thoroughly check it.
Okay. I've seen enough.
Well, I told you we should have gone right anyway.
Okay.
We're going right now.
What do we waste, 10 minutes?
You guys return. You start moving through. You get to another set of stone stairs that go down. You see more of the iron sconces. No torches, but it looked like at one point this is where torches would have been placed. You descend these stairs that go down another 20 feet. This time it opens up and you see basically an expanse. It looks like a sort of a curving corridor with tunnels to the right and left. And as you start to approach, it looks like this is kind of the center of the mine. Each of the corridors that split off from this main tunnel have wooden timbers, old wooden timbers that brace them. And you see that every 15 feet, it looks like there are more wooden timbers that brace the tunnels. And you could see pockets within each of these tunnels where it looks like people were picking and mining. At about the center, after you walk for about 30 or 40 feet, you see that like there's a big pile of raw ore. It looks like, rock basically surrounding iron. And you see a cart that is in disrepair. Like the wheel is cracked. The cart looks very old. Everything is covered in dust and cobwebs.
Is the cart filled with ore as well?
It looks like maybe it was, and then over time it just collapsed and fell over.
Now, can we tell if iron is the only ore that they were mining for in this area?
Sure. Anybody who wants to make an intelligence roll under, go ahead.
11. That's a fail.
Yeah, I made it.
Matched. 18.
6 under.
So in about 15 minutes, you kind of do cursory sort of quick searches. You go into a few of the side tunnels. You look at what was being mined. It looks like mostly iron. Like what they were mining was iron.
Could I guesstimate if we're descended far enough to be somewhat level or above below the entrance I saw outside?
You feel like you're at about the base of the hill.
Okay.
Our torch is flickering specific way.
You see, there as you guys are getting closer to the end of this tunnel, you see some light, and you see the archway, which you assume leads to the outside. You see piles that look like they were separated out. And at first you're like, oh, wait, that's gold. And you kind of approach it, and it sort of has like a yellow look to it. But you realize it's not gold, that it's most likely something else like a pyrite or some other kind of ore that looks like that same color. You see kind of some piles that almost look like discard piles where the larger deposits were broken up and sorted out. And then you see a pile next to about 15 feet in from the exit that looks like this was where they had sorted out like the good ore that would be processed. And you see there's probably about 6 pounds of raw iron that has been, broken down into larger chunks of iron without the rock.
So does it look like this is where they bring the ore to refine it and then?
No, it doesn't look like they have any smelting or anything down here. This is just a mine. And as you guys are there, you could see like cobwebs and stuff, and you could see the entrance that Claude saw when he was outside.
Yeah. Any breaks and cobwebs on these side roads?
Yeah, the whole place is covered in dust and cobwebs, and you see like beetles walking around. It doesn't look like this has been used in a very long time.
So well before all the occurrences that we've been privy to.
Yeah.
And no other way to go, apparently. We see no obvious way to go.
No, literally you could walk 15 feet and you find yourself at the base of the hill. You come out the entrance, you look up, you see the keep up top and mountains in front of you.
Any fresh wagon marks?
No wagon marks.
Foot marks?
Nope.
Oh.
How far are we from the trail where we saw the wagon marks?
About 100 yards. Like you would basically have to go around the hill towards the west where Leonard saw those ruts.
You guys think we should follow the wagon marks?
There is
Yeah,
an
let's go that
alternative.
way.
We can is there like we could try to set up a trap and wait for the evening?
You want to set up a trap and wait for the evening?
Well,
I don't-
we've been traveling all night and all day. I think we need a really good rest.
Before we follow those trails to the west.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question is where are you going to rest? Are you going to go back up into the keep and secure it to rest there? Are you going to camp outside of the keep? Are you going to camp in the mine?
We could probably use the side chamber which Bane to broke the door in. Just we need to put the door back together, and we can trap rest of the keep because the burning pile of the corpses should attract attention, and they should head this way. So we could trap rest of the entrance with the rusty pickaxes and also doors up.
So
Do
it
you
would
guys
be
think
your
it's-
intention to set up traps around the keep.
Yeah, and basically use the one undisturbed room we know they missed first time.
Okay.
Well,
Is that what you guys want to do?
Sounds
And
like a solid
figure
plan.
It's
Figure
my
you guys-
proposal.
you guys have about an hour of daylight to do all that.
well, I like the idea that Leonard had, but I would say just take all those rusty old tools and put them in the hallway that we came into this T-junction.
Okay, so you guys
To
want to
basically
stay.
make a hazardous area.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you want to stay in the mine, but in that
Yeah, I
tool
would say
supply
stay
room.
behind. Not necessarily in the supply room, but at least have the pathway up into the keep made into difficult terrain by loading up all those rusty old tools.
One good thing about hiding in the supply room is if we have to trickle them in, if there's a large force coming against us, they have to come in one by one, and we can
Yeah.
kill them one at a time.
Okay,
Well, that's going to be tricky because as soon as
So-
you kill 2 or 3, then the whole passageway would be blocked.
in the interest of time, I'm going to say that you guys can gather some of the old rusty tools. You could set up
Yeah.
kind of hazardous terrain. What I need to know is, are all of you in that tool room, or is anyone going to be anywhere else? Are you doing any kind of patrols or watches? How are we doing this?
I would say go down to the main entrance and stay around in one of the side passages there.
Of the mine?
Yeah.
Okay. Who is going to
Yeah.
do that? And is anyone else doing anything else anywhere else?
I'll be close to
wanna-
the entrance and patrol that area
I want to
The-
be in
the
the
lower one.
mine.
below.
I want to be in the mine, hiding behind a taller pile of ore so I can climb up on it and use my bow from a bit of a height.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will try also to make the doors from the supply room as try to piece them out so in the dark they at least wouldn't be so noticeable that they were broken through.
Okay.
Not necessarily.
And Bivoj, what are you going to be doing during this? You're muted.
I'll probably stay on the guard with the Bane,
Okay.
just in case.
Liber?
I mean, I'll alternate guard with somebody. It doesn't really. I'll stay in the supply room and alternate guards as needed.
Okay.
Also, I would like to point someone to bring if there was cooking oil in the kitchen to set down so we can set it on fire potentially.
Okay. You do. All right. So first watch. Give me 2 people who are on first watch. All right. Roll
Oh.
d20s. Tell me what you get.
12.
10.
Okay. Second watch. Bivoj and Liber. Roll.
Uh,
17.
17?
6.
Okay. Third watch. Sarah and Leonard. Oh, I guess I should roll for Oldrad. Well, tell me what you guys get first.
Or
17.
Okay. So I'm going to leave this to Liber to decide. What watch do you want Oldrad to roll for? First, second, or third?
Second.
Okay. Rewind. Second watch was Bivoj and Liber. You guys are at your posts. Oldrad, after sleeping the first watch, gets up and he leaves the room. He does a patrol, carefully walking around in the mines. He comes back and he says, I'm going up to the manor.
Why?
I think I heard something. Do you guys want to come with me?
I'm gonna wake somebody. I'm gonna wake Bane and go with him.
What we doing?
All right. Bivoj, are you staying to guard the sleepers, or are you going with Liber, Bane, and Oldrad?
If Liber goes, I'll stay with the sleeping people.
Okay. So Liber, Bane, and Oldrad, you guys go upstairs. You go up into the kitchen. You get into the kitchen, and Oldrad kind of looks around, and all you have is moonlight coming through the windows. Oldrad looks down the hallway past the kitchens. Bane and Liber roll wisdom roll unders.
11.
8.
Liber, you hear something, and Oldrad looks at you and he points to the front door of the manor. And you hear something moving around outside. Oldrad whispers to Bane, something or someone is outside.
Upon our initial inspection, are there any windows or shutters that would allow me to look into the yard without opening the door?
You would have to go down the hallway to like one of the front rooms to look out a window to see into the yard.
I'll do that stealthily.
Okay. Everyone who's moving, make a dexterity roll under.
Quick question. Did we leave the gate door unbarred, or did we bar it up again?
You barred it up.
Yeah, well, there was talk about unbarring it as an escape.
There was talk about unbarring it, but remember, Oldrad offered, in case you guys needed to make a quick escape, that he would unbar it. But it is barred.
Okay.
Natural one under 21. Thank you.
Okay.
5, 1 under 6.
Okay. Just to let you know, since Kail's not here, I have rolled 2 consecutive 1s for his rolls.
Today's dice are low, man.
So you guys stealth up and you get to the front foyer and you look out the window. And near the bodies, which have long ago burned, but they're still kind of like smoldering, near the bodies, you see 2 figures. One of them is holding a torch and has like a sword, and he's poking at the bodies, like almost to try to like flip things around. The other is standing without a torch and has a sword. Both of them seem to be wearing armor, and you could see their silhouettes from the torchlight and the moonlight. They look like they stand at about 6'2", so they're pretty big. They're not saying anything, and their backs are to you, but they're basically like 15 feet out the door away from you.
Can we see any insignia or anything on their...
They're wearing armor, and you could see the armor. They're wearing boots, like they, by all accounts, look like soldiers. They're wearing helmets, and like I said, they're big of stature.
Does it look like Lee Castle kind of armor, or does it look like something?
It does.
All right. I'm gonna watch for a few minutes.
Okay, both of you make wisdom roll unders.
That's a fail.
Ah.
9.
Even.
Okay, you're the
Matched.
only one to succeed. In the pale moonlight, Liber, you see that the entrance gate to the yard is in fact open. You see them walk from the pile of bodies over towards the food storage area that was all torn up, kind of adjacent to the blacksmiths. And the one holding the torch seems to be kind of walking around and looking. He stoops down, sheathing his sword, picks up some grain and kind of rolls it around in his hands. So now they're about 35 feet away from you guys across the yard.
I'm gonna whisper to Bane. I'm gonna try to go outside and see if these are soldiers from Lee Castle checking.
And I will, in the background, follow him, but not to be seen, just in case he needs backup.
I'm trying to go stealthily.
Okay, make those dex checks again.
That's a hit. I mean, I got it. two.
One over.
Okay, Liber, you walk out stealthy. You get about 10 feet out the door. And you see the one with the torch turn. And because he's holding a torch, he could kind of see you dimly. But more importantly, you see him. You see his face. The other one turns as well. And when you see their faces, immediately what you notice is green skin with thick, prominent underjaws and brows that are very heavy and protruding lower teeth. They almost look like ordure, but you've never seen ordure of this stature and size, much less wearing armor and wielding weapons. The one with the torch sees you, and he says, "Kill it." And that is where we'll end this episode of the Lamenters. Tune in next time to find out what happens as the party encounters a night at the Watch. Thank you, as always, to all of you for liking, subscribing, and following our adventures here on the Lamenters. And thank you to Coke Zero for not sponsoring us. Until we meet again, peace out, everybody, and happy gaming.
Well, hello, and welcome to Blayne Allen World. I am Wizzy, the Wizard. I'm back once again to remind you to subscribe and click on the notifications button, and also watch videos that are over there. Tune in to the next episode of whatever show you are just watching, and watch other shows featuring Bill. He made me say that because he's a narcissist. Okay, bye.